peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
In the entire world, health, safety, preparedness of disaster are key issues in any working environment. The safety regulations of any institution or infrastructure in the world are paramount to a successful economy. We have health and safety regulations in industries, in hospitals, in schools. But what baffles us, and what baffles most of us, is that these regulations are not followed. For example, putting up a school in Kenya, you need to go through several methods before you are approved to have the children, including the capability of you housing 800 school children who were actually part of this school that collapsed by itself. But what does this teach us? Teaches us that there are areas in this country that need help. One of those is that area where the school was built just near petrol stations, near the roads, blocking everything, no sewage, no escape routes. This is the tragedy of Africa we have. In most African countries, people don't follow health and safety regulations. Most countries have no disaster preparedness mechanisms. Africa is reactive instead of being proactive. What has led us to this? Why are we behaving in a manner that we don't see? What is the building? What does it look like? Are there cracks in the building? I believe the parents who are taking children to this school, at this hour they should reflect, and most of the parents in this country should also look at the schools and institutions where they leave their children. Some of the schools are inhabitable. Conditions are very dangerous. There's a school somewhere in Kajiado which has been condemned near the railway, and still children use it. So are we ourselves to blame for all these disasters that come to us? Whoever is the owner of this school was aware that this school will come down. Use your conscience to decide as to whether you are doing the right thing. If you are spitting on the road, if you are throwing, dirt on the road, if you are breaking things on the road, stealing the lamps, lights, stealing the signposts on the road, think of the other people who would need them. And then always be on alert to alert the authorities of what you have seen, what is in the place, because that would help. To you, you might think it's a smaller thing, but it's a very good thing for Africa. Do we have health and safety regulations in Africa, in our offices? How many of you know your health and your safety and health regulations? How many of you practice it? How many of you put buildings in exit routes? How many of you put everything in exit routes? Your bags, your sticks, Remember, when the fire catches, you need this route. So get away from it. Take care. Thank you. Punchline Africa TV opposes any form of terrorism, and our policy is very clear. We condemn Al-Shabaab, we condemn Boko Haram, we condemn Al-Qaeda, we condemn any remnants of Al-Qaeda cells that linger on this African continent, that maim people, innocent people. All these acts are not done by a particular religion. People have just picked a religion and used it. In Kenya, in East Africa, and in Africa, we should be vigilant. That is, now we don't know. You can be very, well equipped at your doorstep or at your gate, but you don't know up in the crowd when we are moving in town, in cities, in Dar es Salaam, in Mwanza, in Kampala, in Kigali, in Johannesburg. These people have come closer to our cities, in Nairobi. You might be moving and somebody just starts stabbing you. I think they have changed these tactics. So we must be vigilant ourselves as citizens of these countries in Africa. Together we shall one day wipe out all forms of terrorism that have actually widened the gaps or the gulf between the people, the religions, and the type of hatred that is coming out is not very, very good.
Wewe kama unataka kuingiana na mambo ya ufisadi, tutapigana na wewe. You can be my brother, you can be my sister, you can be my closest political ally, you can be whatever you are, but you are an enemy of the Republic of Kenya, and we will fight with you. Watu ambao wataendelea kucheza na mali ya umma, mali ya wananchi, wajue siku zao zimehesabiwa na ni shida watapata. Tumesema ya kwamba kutoka sasa hatutaki kusikia mtu akitetea mwenzake, ati mtu akiiba anasema ni kabila langu, ni dini yangu ambaye inadhulumiwa. Wewe uliiba peke yako, chukua msalaba yako peke yako. Tuungane ndio tuhakikishe ya kwamba tumemaliza hiyo vita na wananchi wamepata haki yao. Au ni namna gani wenzangu?
We cannot be a country anymore where those who work hard are robbed of their profit by those who are too lazy to invest and produce. And this is why I am and will continue the fight against corruption to ensure that the fruits of our labor fill every heart with thanksgiving, as indeed stated in our national anthem. I invite all Kenyans to join us, to continue working with us in this most noble effort.
Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and the Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries. Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN, it has been bombarded, has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to endear to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in the Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you. Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting all the way from Nairobi, the Republic of Kenya. Viewers, wherever you are in Africa, thank you very much for tuning in this program, the show this morning. Wherever you are in Morocco, in Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, Mauritania, Mali, Sudan, Ethiopia, wherever you are in Asmara, Eritrea, Somalia, Djibouti, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda,
South Sudan, Sudan, Central African Republic, Chad, Cameroon, DRC Congo, Malawi, Zambia, Mozambique, Zimbabwe, South Africa, wherever you are in Africa, Angola, Botswana, Namibia, oh my God, Lesotho, where are you? Wherever you are in Africa, let's move on. Ambazonia, country number 55, coming in Africa. Wherever you are, thank you very much for watching us. We have all our satellites in most of the Saharan countries as we speak. We want to thank all our people, those who have been with us, watching our shows, that we owe you a lot, and we continue to say what we must say. This morning, on Good Morning Africa, we have a show, a special show on security frontline, or frontline security. This particular program touches areas of security in Africa. We discuss security matters. We need security experts to come over and we dissect our security situation. Security does not only mean a country's borders. It means internal borders. It means in your house. It means wherever you are, where you are sitting, what you are eating, how you are moving, how you are enjoying, how you are playing football. It is all security. The first thing that we look at is security. But before we do that, I want to take you straight on, before I come to the security program, to the news headlines making headlines in Kenya, in Nairobi. The Standard newspaper, 9 in 10 women get sexual harassment calls. How many of you call women to harass them? Instead of talking to them, you harass them, telling them lots of things instead of coming to the point. Today is Friday, so we shall be casual. The main headline on the Standard newspaper, who killed the Ruto man? Questions still linger. Phone records were deleted. The phone, you see, when you make your phone, remember this phone, it has a backup. You can delete from one sector, but there's a backup in another one. So don't think you are safe after insulting people or sending hate messages. If the case is deeper, they will find the backup system where all discussions and conversations were conducted. You might wonder that when you are in London, when you ring a person or you ring police 999, police will tell you we shall be there in 5 minutes. Or we shall be there in 5 seconds. Or there is a police officer just coming in one behind you on the car. Because they know your location, the imagery focus of your location, of any phone number that touches your number remains somewhere. So when you make calls to insult people, to use your phone to steal, to use your phone to abuse people, to use your phone to cut deals, remember there is a silent man or woman or a silent image watching, keeping an eye on your phone. Good morning, Africa. The headline is a disaster. Such a headline in Africa retards our own development. Note that there are no headlines of this nature in America or Europe or London, but a cold murdered case. The murder we write ourselves. Anybody who has read Agatha will know that some of these things are laughable. Very laughable. Very laughable. What a coincidence. A younger man losing his life. He hasn't done much in the world. He's gone. We leave the matter of the police to the hands of the police. Pray for the family and pray for all the people in this search for the truth. We have seen the search for the truth, and that several messages coming out from different corners. But one thing that I would like to say is not a laughing matter that everybody would go about Twitter and Facebook writing laughing matters messages. We've lost a person here. We've lost a human being. He did not intend to die. He did not go to duty to die. The answers are needed. Let the police look for the answers so that the matter rests and the parents of this younger man are given answers as to why they have lost their only son or their son. May his soul rest in peace. I wish God had ways of coming back to tell people that don't cry too much. This is the man who did this, or this is the woman who did this. We condole with the family as we read this news. News anchors and journalists in Africa take matters lightly when they are reading news that death, because in Africa death has become a casual thing. In Israel, it is a real thing that people think seriously as to how someone has died. And that's why Israel has the best methods of defense. There are few of them, and therefore they wouldn't like to disrupt the nation at all. Viewers, it is sad we lost a younger man, and we believe that answers will come sooner than later. We want to thank the police, the detectives who have pieced up what they can, given that there was no DNA left on either the cloth or anything that can link up with. We don't have data of DNA, of shoes, the people who placed him there. In London or America, the powder would bring out the type of shoes that were on the scene. And we could catch those shoes and go and see whether you have a pair of that type of shoes. Our detectives should find laboratories. We have now a laboratory that can forensically even test the shoes. If this gentleman was placed in that house. There are people who came walking and they have shoes, pair of shoes. When you step on the floor, it leaves a mark, and the DNA powder can raise that mark, and we go in your house, and we don't want to say much because people will kill the shoes. Those are some of the clues that the detectives will take and they should take in order to resolve this monstrous act of killing people, waking up, slaughtering innocent people, which has been a habit of people in Africa. The story is a huge one. We want to leave it to the DCI. We want to thank the DCI courageously. There are so many people talking that the DCI, everywhere, murder in London, Scotland Yard, briefs. The Scotland Yard people brief Wazungu. But we have some people here who are even condemning that why should the DCI come to the media. In London, we hear even when somebody has dropped in water, drowned in water, a child or a dog, we even hear a press conference to tell the people what happened. What the DCI is doing here, the director of DCI is doing the correct way of informing the public, to jog the minds of the public. These people who might have abducted this man might have gone through hotels. Yes, if you saw them in a group in a hotel, give the information to the detectives so that we unravel the matter. Publicity is not bad in investigations. Publicity helps to jog the minds of the people. That's how Scotland Yard, FBI, handled their murder cases and handled their cases. And that's why we call them the best agencies. So here in Kenya, when they see the DCI going to say, oh, you have gone to the media, that is as if you've not gone to school. Some of the people who write statements like Emuru Komen claim to have gone to America, but I think he went to the lower streets of America. The lowest streets of America, where he did not have even access to the higher streets. Some of us have lived in those higher streets of the metros of London and Washington, and New York. So when you write, like Senator Murkomen, stop writing. You are useless, kabisa. Stop writing. Don't write. You see, you are writing. You give the DCI a chance, man. Let them find a solution. Why are you worried? Mutahi Ngunyi, why are you worried? If I were Mutahi Ngunyi, I would not talk. This is a guy who said, I did not have 90 million and it came on my account by default. Oh my God, that they call themselves professionals. What professional? Shut up, let the DCI do the job. Muachia wa jamaa wafanye kazi, jamen. Munawavuruga sana. Some people go to the internet, write things. It is a normal way of, publicizing a matter that to jog the minds of the people. If you have studied criminology, and unfortunately, Mutahi Ngunyi never studied criminology, just got certificates from the United States of America. Professor what? Look at it. The biggest problem is people don't stand up. And we glorify people who make statements like, we glorify them. Hey, Mutahi Ngunyi. What? What prediction? What? He copies all the things that punchline does here. Then he also puts a desk. What does he have? No material. You see that? No material. I know of 3 professors who have copied and got professorship from some of our websites. Wash. Thank you very much. Leave the DCI to do his job. The guy is correct to publicize for us to jog our minds. This man might have seen, someone might have seen this guy with people. Now we know the story of him being drugged. Was he in a hotel? Which hotel was he? You could have seen him while you are having your coffee. He's doing nothing wrong in doing publicity in the media. Scotland Yard does it. FBI does it. Mossad does it. So it is not wrong to condemn Kinoti that he did. He has done wrong to publicize. These people who are condemning are the people who should be actually, you know what? It is very sad to lose a life of a younger man who woke up to go and work, who ran through hard conditions, to rise to a rank of a sergeant, only to find your life gone because you are not even knowing why you are being killed. It goes to the police officers serving the people. You don't know why you are being killed. We must pray for the police officers who keep the security of these people. It is a very tiresome, ridiculous job. I pray that one day, and one day alone, salvation will rise and make people workable. Thank you. The Daily Nation has a similar story. DCI, I think the production team can bring it on board. We also want to jog people's memory so that you don't forget, as usual, the usual matters are forgotten. Some papers, even people have gone to the extent, the Daily Nation of today headline, murder, DCI zeroes in on Ruto's office. Again, the picture of the deputy president, and then on this side, the deceased man who lost his life in a deal that went sour, that we don't know why people turned on him. Did he know or did he not? Those questions will be answered by the homicide department of DCI. So they are joking in the memory, and does not mean there is anything wrong. That is the sad news coming from the Daily Nation. Let's look for a good story. Teachers' head count set to kick off in May. There is no rift between Kinoti and Haji. I told you that yesterday. People could not believe me, but that's the truth. There's no rift. The biggest problem of Kenya, and let me say it now, the biggest problem of Kenya, I hope the Chief Justice is listening, the DPP is listening, the DCI are listening, the courts, the lawyers are listening, is the criminal justice system. You are going to fight until you knock each other heads in everything. The criminal justice system includes prisons. It includes, the criminal justice includes prisons, it includes police, It includes investigators, includes prosecution, it includes judiciary, it includes social services. What is the criminal justice system of Kenya? Do we have probation officers enough who check on those people? We give bail conditions. That's the criminal justice system. When the judges release suspects to go back to their homes, is there a probation officer who walks around the police stations to make sure that they abide by the bail conditions? We don't have it. Okay, social worker. Do we have it? No. The prison, the bail conditions. Is there anybody who has, the parliament of Kenya, has it woken up to change the laws that in Kenya you arrest a person today, you release him on Monday, he flies to go and enjoy the money in Zanzibar on Wednesday. That is the criminal justice system of Kenya. How will you fight corruption if you have bail conditions that are got like mangoes in Makueni? That is the situation. The country, the BBI, all of you lawyers, both practicing advocates of the High Court, should sit down and change the criminal justice system so that you don't have the Chief Justice lamenting from the 7 years. For the last 6 years he has been in power. He has been lamenting. Talking about money, money, money. But not talking about the criminal justice system. Not advising, not writing a paper, not writing a journal, not writing a lecture, not lecturing that we better change the system in order to have those who have touched money. Economic crime should not be released immediately until the investigations are over. What do we do and how do we lose the cases? The DCI and the DPP are losing cases because the courts are just dishing out bail conditions like they are dishing out relief food in any of the hunger-stricken areas in Africa. Because there people come with as big as you want, you get it. Small as you want, you get it. This is the type of life that we have. So blaming, saying Kinoti and Haji are quarreling, it is the system. There is a system there where even the defense lawyers, is there anybody in Kenya who has a defense lawyer who tells him, I am going to win this case professionally? Show me. Call me. If you have one. Most of my defense lawyers tell me, we shall fix the case. Most of the defense lawyers in Africa, even in Uganda, they say, we shall fix the case. Tuja kulongosa omusango guno toweraliikirira. We shall work on this case. Don't get worried. Just bring us the money. That's what is happening in the courts today. We have a problem, and that's what we have had. Cases of Ankasha cannot be solved in Kenya, but they are solved in 6 months in the United States of America. Why don't we change our criminal justice system to introduce things like a pre-bargain? You make a pre-bargain, tell the truth, I stole. you quicken up the process. They will lower the sentence. So Kenya should think of changing the criminal justice system, bringing other mechanisms. We are focusing on retributive justice. We have forgotten that justice can also be in restorative format. I speak as an authority on conflict resolution, not as a layman on the streets shouting about restorative or retributive justice. Most of my life, I think you have seen I have been so restorative. I believe in restorative justice. I believe in alternative mechanisms that can solve some of the problems without taking people to the court. Even the Bible said, before you reach the judge, why don't you talk to your tormentor and ask him, boss, why are you taking me to this level? This thing can be sorted out. That's the Bible. It is in the Bible. So that's what the Daily Nation said. Lastly, the Star newspaper. It talks of a very serious, it's the same story, but this time with photographs that my production can show you. Well-organized angles. Anybody who knows how a gun works and how bullets come out of the body, cartridges, and so on, the Star has done a very useful part. If you can bring it on the screen for people to see, wherever they are, it will be on the same matter. The only party that I will pick on the Star is APRO as Jubaland lead cross into Mandera. Fearful residents flee their homes. Yesterday, we are told that we haven't seen officially confirmed, but we are told President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Faramajo had a talk. We are going to look at that in our next top of the hour in the next 15 minutes. This morning, therefore, I take this opportunity to look at the items of the legacy. The legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta has 4 strands. I'm not looking at the BBI. I'm not looking at the Big 4. I'm looking at the legacy in a format of 4 strands combining in one. President Uhuru Kenyatta wants to leave a legacy of a united Kenya. Whether East, whether North, whether West, whether South, is a united Kenya. The message is very clear on the wall. A country divided, even if you want to be a candidate for presidential elections in 2022, there is no way you can do it without a united country. A country that is under a strife, civil strife, conflict, chaos, a country dismembered. A country like Somalia cannot hold a free and a fair election. It's not united. It's subdivided itself into clanism. The pastoral democracies seem to have overridden the interests of nationalism in Somalia. Pastoral democracy is one of the most delicate democracies because you can't plant it anywhere. And that is why you see things working the way they are working in most of the countries. But President Uhuru Kenyatta wants a legacy. He's seeking a legacy. He's looking at a legacy. He's looking at what can we do to find a united Kenya. A Kenya with encouraged people. A Kenya with people who think with a vision of the past, the present, and the future. The vision that encourages people to build houses, factories, to build homes, to build good houses for people, to build factories for employment, to create employment for people. A vision, a united Kenya can bring all this together. And that is what the legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta is. He wants that. He wants it. He has 2 years. He has performed. Behind all these gourmet headlines, there is performance. You can get your passport through Uduma. You can pay your license through Uduma. You can pay your bill at your home, at your kiosk. You can pay your bill. You can pay your water bill on your phone. There is infrastructure. Enough of things have been done which nobody sings about them. But they only sing, condemn the president. They don't see the value of a great railway. When Winston Churchill, was building the railway, the Uganda railway, after the Second World War, before the Second World War, they did not know that one day this railway will be one of the miracles. The best railway that runs from Indian Ocean to the plateau of Rwenzori in Kasese near Democratic Republic of Congo. The vision of the founding fathers of the British Empire was to connect the Indian Ocean up to the Atlantic Ocean through a country of Liverpool, of Belgium, or French Congo. They achieved that by collecting copper. Why the Uganda Railway reached Kasese is because of copper, which was much needed in the metros of Europe. Our younger children today condemn the president for having done the infrastructure of the light railway, which we want to reach Kigali in years to come, 20, 30 years to come. When we are gone, God has taken us where he created us a second home. This will be very important for the people of Africa, that there will be transportation. You live in Mombasa and you work in Kampala and you come back and you see your family. It is very important. So condemnation without saying there are things that the government has done very well is one of the worst enemies that we have for Africa. Thank you very much. That is so far the legacy of His Excellency the President and the legacy of this country, a united Kenya, prosperous Kenya, a Kenya with enough food, a Kenya with enough infrastructure, a Kenya with enough housing, a Kenya with universal health care. We have seen universal health care working very well down in Machakos, even heart plant, which is done in London. They have done it here successfully, but we don't mention it. People are not mentioning it because journalism has become commercial, and the journalists have become commercial. They are paid before you are put on a show. That's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. People who interview people have become hyenas. Yes, we better self-examine ourselves. Most of these shows in these big commercials, television stations, you can't reach there if they don't like your face. So it is sad that we are not putting out what Kenya has done, but we are putting up gloomy news headlines of this nature. Thank you very much. God bless us on the headlines in Kenya and the legacy of His Excellency President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. We have some time, we can read Good Morning Punchline as a Bube Chidi, Mr. Abudi Shukri Ahmed. We don't care, you can call us any names that you want. Deng call hello. I don't know why you are calling. Who is a criminal? Not us. Shalom, Tony. Shalom, sir. Thank you. Jalango, Governor Jalango. I don't know who the guy is. He never talks about brutality in his home. My country has no brutality. It has a government that has laid down. It has a government that has laid down a procedure. The only thing that lacks in my country is some form of democracy, which is not a race. Democracy comes with time. Democracy evolves. It goes through hardships. Britain and the British people killed so many people over 1,000 years. Killings, murders in the British system until they got to democracy. So if it is not here now, it will come. It is not a competition to bring it here now. It might not be the time. In Kenya, you have had it, but still you see the obstacles that we have. Somalia, you don't have even any. South Sudan, you had, but you lost it. You have gone back to the same level when Garang was telling you never to cut off from main Khartoum. He said we had won our freedom, but we wanted to be united Sudan. The democracy differs. It differs in different formats. It doesn't mean that a country does not have democracy and you call it a bad country. It is a good country. Uganda might not have democracy, but Uganda has food. We don't import food. Yes. We don't import sugar. Yes. That's what people look for. Whereas in Kenya, we are fighting over fertilizers, sugar, this, that. Uganda does not import food. So every country has got its measurement. And let's leave it to the people who live in these countries. We are all Africans. It doesn't mean when you are not a Kenyan, you should not speak about Kenya. When you are allowed even Bazungu to speak about Kenya and meet is a show that talks about Africa, the security of this continent, the security of Kenya, of Uganda, South Sudan, and other states. We shall be talking about it at the top of the hour. But right now, let me go through the African news. And I think we have our correspondent, Miriam, is on standby. I don't know, the production team tried to call Miriam. She would be corresponding from wherever she is right now, she said. If you can call, that would be better. Nigeria, African news or Africa news at a glance. At a glance, we see Nigeria Senate on Thursday approved President Buhari's request to borrow $22.7 billion from a foreign loan. Nigeria is borrowing money Yet Nigerians, there are Nigerians like Mr. Dangote, who have more millions, billions, who can lend Nigeria. But because of corruption that has taken place in these countries, we find that Nigeria now borrows even money. Yet it would be the country with the biggest population and the markets are huge. Nigeria would be giving us more products. But because of mismanagement, bad leadership, Nigeria has lost it. South Sudan. The 25,000 each member of parliament is to receive. Member of parliament recently received. Each member of parliament in South Sudan received 25,000 shillings recently as a health insurance. Is a constitutional right for lawmakers, the chairperson of the Information Committee has said. Last week, this news brought a lot of anger to the citizens of South Sudan who don't have money, who don't have public utilities. You can see MPs everywhere in the world have to cater for their allowances because they work, when they go back to the constituencies, they spend even half of their salary or all the salary. So MPs have been on a spending spree and increment of their salaries across Africa. Zimbabwe. United States of America renewed its sanctions, extended their sanctions by 1 year against this South African state, which has suffered the burden of sanctions since 2001, when they imposed the sanctions against Zimbabwe. Trump administration talks of a threat, of Zimbabwe being a threat. I don't know. Zimbabwe has no border with the United States of America. How Zimbabwe becomes a threat to America, if it's imagination of God, it is only God who can bring us together to imagine that Zimbabwe is near America, when it takes you almost 2 days to fly from Zimbabwe to America. So how are you near America that you have a threat of interest of America in Africa? Oh my God, I don't know. Another country that we want to look at is Uganda. At least 24 people have officially been declared their intention to run for presidency in the 2021 Ugandan election in their bid to unseat President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Among those who notified the Electoral Commission are Chadondo, Robert Chagulanyi, and Lieutenant General Henry Tumukunde, and others, who was a former Minister of Security. More people could express interest soon, or as some political parties are yet to convene their delegates conference. People Power, Mr. Bob Wine, had in July 2019 declared he would run for president. Earlier in March, a month later, Uganda Supreme Court upheld a decision that anybody above 75 can run and contend for presidency. So those who are asking me questions, I am not yet 75. So there is no limit in my country when you should run for presidency. In Ivory Coast, the Ivory Coast President Ouattara, this is one good sign for Africa, said he will not run for 2020 October elections. Alassane Ouattara justified his decision, claiming he was respecting his commitments. Thank you very much, Mr. Alassane Ouattara. You have done a great job for withdrawing from this race, because it was becoming a murky race. It could plunge this country into another war, which they have been fighting for all this time. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you. Thank you very much for watching the legacy trend, the successes, failures, obstacles, and what we have been able, what can be achieved in the last 2 years. The news headlines and then of Kenya and the headlines of the Punch newspaper in Nigeria. Thank you very much, comrades in Nigeria, my fellow colleagues of the Punch newspaper. God bless you. We come back after 5 minutes with a show, a security show that will bring about why Kenya's security with neighbors. What is the problem here? That's what we want to look at. What is the problem? We help. Kenya is an island of peace. What has gone wrong? Why is it that the rest of the neighbors are in turmoil? Most of them, Somalia, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Uganda is now not in any turmoil, militarily or security-wise. Tanzania is peaceful. Uganda is peaceful. South Sudan is returning to normal. Ethiopia skirmishes. Somalia is worse. That's what we want to look at when we return. Thank you very much. The security program comes next.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
In the entire world, health, safety, preparedness of disaster are key issues in any working environment. The safety regulations of any institution or infrastructure in the world are paramount to a successful economy. We have health and safety regulations in industries, in hospitals, in schools. But what baffles us, and what baffles most of us, is that these regulations are not followed. For example, putting up a school in Kenya, you need to go through several methods before you are approved to have the children, including the capability of you
must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Fellow Africans, every time we are challenged on matters of importance, there is always a path for redemption. The only thing that Kenya needs at the moment is redemption. It's a redemption strategy that can create a coexistence of all the people, all the tribes, all regions, and all shades of opinions. Challenges come at an hour where a country is on a test. Test runs are always the most crucial points. That's where experiments collapse. Kenya is not an experiment. Kenya is a nation that has existed for 56 years. The challenges, therefore, should not make us hate each other. These challenges should unite us, should unite the people of Kenya to push forward an agenda, to follow their president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, in delivering the agenda for a better Kenya. A better Kenya will produce a better East Africa. A better East Africa will produce a better Africa. The challenges, the obstacles that come amongst us are many, but we can overcome them through discussion, a wider range of discussion, wider disagreements to agree and disagree, to agree again and disagree to disagree. But we should not form clubs, units, militias, hatred of that nature that can take us to the history. Germany today is Germany because it doesn't want to go to the path of the history. Germany goes to the path of development. Over 70 years ago, Germany was at war with the entire world. Today, it is on the path of resolving some of the problems that come. I want us to stand in the place of Germany and look forward and backwards. See what we can do here, but not yearn for what is in Rome. What is in Rome is safeguarded, but in Sicily, which is Kenya, we need to build a foundation for the younger generation that we are going to live here today. The many who have no employment, the poverty, the ignorance, the diseases that kill the people of Africa. We need to find a modium of operation. Modus operandi. The only modus operandi on this is a united, peaceful Kenya. A Kenya united by values of respect and adherence to the rule of law. A Kenya without schemes of elimination or fiction of elimination or murders written by themselves. A Kenya without any hatred against the president. A Kenya that supports the constitutional roots that the 2010 constitution of yours brought. That is how Africa will rise and shine again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, viewers. Welcome to our second show since morning. It is exactly 13 minutes past 12 East African Standard Time. The topic before us is Frontline Security. It's a security program which in the future we shall have security experts to come here and tell us more about security, about how we can safeguard our countries, how all the states in Africa and the world all over can stop radicalization of youth, recruitment of youth into activities of terrorism. We shall be talking about countries' conflicts under this program. A security, Frontline Security, is a landmark show of Punchline Africa television. We have had it for the last 2.5 years. We have successfully discussed with very many experts, and that is what we want to continue doing. If you are not if you are a very serious expert on security out there, and you want to take part in our conversations, we shall welcome you. Send us a message or call us on our hotline number +254 795 638 145, Nairobi, Kenya. Today's topic is similar to the topic that we had a few days ago. Kenya is bordered by South Sudan to the northwest, Ethiopia to the north, Somalia to the east, Uganda to the west, Tanzania to the south, and the Indian Ocean to southeast. It has a borderline of the Indian Ocean in the southeast. Somalia, therefore, is a neighbor of Kenya. First, I want to pass my thanks to President Uhuru Kenyatta and President Farimajo for having had a discussion to set up, if this is true, to set up conditions for discussion, to discuss. We are Africans. We are the same people. We come from the same generations. The difference might be a river or a mountain or a ridge or color, but we remain the same people on the African continent. I therefore thank President Uhuru Kenyatta for having taken the effort, the courage to receive or to talk to the President of Somalia to make sure that this crisis does not escalate into unmanageable proportions. Kenya's military deployed in Somalia in 2011 October. The purpose was to push out Al-Shabaab, which we have successfully managed to push out in other places, especially in some Kismayo and the southern part or the eastern part of Jubaland, the entire Jubaland and other areas where other forces of Uganda, AMISOM, and Somalia and Djibouti and other forces, including the Burundian contingent, which is holed up in Mogadishu. Barely 2 weeks in 2020, Al-Shabaab has attacked Kenya 5 times, leaving scores of Kenyans dead. For the first time, one of the attacks involved infiltrating an airstrip in Lamu. Kenya has been a major target of Al-Shabaab attacks outside Somalia. Over the past decade, the group has attacked Kenya at least 30 times, leaving over 600 of our citizens and the citizens of Africa and scores of foreigners dead, thousands injured, and millions of dollars worth of property destroyed, both public and private. Despite all this, discontinued attacks and an apparent resurgence of Al-Shabaab, the latest being the group targeting Somali government military bases, AMISOM, inside Somalia. AMISOM has set the date to withdraw from Somalia by 2021. You might agree or you might disagree. I don't agree that AMISOM should leave Somalia, because it is not time to leave. We have not accomplished the job that took us into Somalia in the first place. We should be increasing more boots on the ground, matched with the policies of a good government that can see the end to insurgents. Any conflict resolution expert like me, I would tell you, our withdrawal is premature. It will just hand over victory to the ISIS and other Al-Qaeda organizations that are eyeing a vacuum in Somalia. In 2014, Somalia decided to take a case without any consent, and mark you, the word I'm using, decided to take a case without consent from Kenya to the International Court of Justice. The dispute ranging on the Mediterranean, on the Indian Ocean, has emerged as a narrow triangle off the coast of Africa in the Indian Ocean, about 100,000 square kilometers of maritime border. Somalia claims this is their territory. Kenya says no, it is not. The African constitutive mechanisms talk about the limits of boundaries, how to resolve boundaries and border disputes without changing the format of 1884 Bismarck partitioning of Africa. Both countries claim they have responsibility, stick on the territory which has oil reserves, gas reserves. In 2009, both countries had agreed the United Nations Commission in charge of mediating border disputes should determine the borderline once for all. This is still the agreement that still stands as we see today. What is happening between Somalia and Kenya is something of an external funded, an external pushed dimensions to create chaos. To create chaos against the state that has helped in Somalia. But I want to take this soft note and a soft appeal to President Farmajo that please, we have done our best. We have stood by you at the hour of need that you needed most, that many Somalis needed a rescue, even for a smile alone, that Somalia was under terrible siege from terrorists who had gathered from Afghanistan, Yemen, Iraq, and other countries in Africa, who had gone to hide in Somalia. After the fall of Siad Barre in 1991, the Americans tried to restore order in Somalia. They failed. The state of Somalia collapsed. Somalis were everywhere in the world seeking asylum, seeking places where they can put their heads. Today we are joyful that even those who came back with passports like Farmajo and Mr. Hassan Hari have come back to find a country because Kenya and other states in Africa value them. We want to speak like elderly people. We want to advise our African brothers to rethink of a policy of sitting down, to renegotiate, to do things that you want to talk instead of rushing to international courts that are being belittled by America, that set the United Nations tone, whose headquarters are headquartered in America. If you look at what the Americans, talking about ICC this morning, you laugh. A few years ago, I was telling the same Americans, I was telling the ambassador to Kenya, Mr. Reinberger, that ICC is a fake organization. Ambassador Reinberger almost blacklisted me, but he couldn't do it because he later on discovered I was right. ICC indeed is a very black spot to international law. Equally speaking, ICJ, which has no second court, lower court, upper court. Once a decision is made, after people have drunk a coffee or wine or beer, they come and sit and make a decision. A decision can bring chaos in this region. My Somali brothers, be careful when you rely much on Turkey. Everybody is complaining about Turkey. The hangover of colonial mentality that Turkey and the Ottoman Empire has on Africa could plunge this region into chaos. I want to end the note on that Somalia, to move on to another country surrounding Kenya by saying we thank you, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and I thank you, President Farmajo, for having agreed to start up a committee to listen to the complaints of why is there a build-up of hatred. Why is there a hatred? The people who went to help are being hated. Why? We thank you very much for doing so. Viewers, thank you very much. I turn to a country called Sudan. South Sudan. South Sudan is one of the countries in the northwest bordering Kenya. In 2013, this country plunged itself into war. On top of what we got and the conditions that we got before the war, Kenya was a staging point for the fight against Bashir and the Arab North. Many of South Sudanese, including their military leaders, lived in Kenya. What has changed? Logistics seem to have gone wrong. That Salva Kiir and Riek Machar in 2013 could not agree, and this country went to war. As a result, there has been a flooding of refugees into Kenya, making it very difficult for Kenya to cope with already a big influx in their camps from Somalia. Kenya exports to South Sudan are through the road network. Increased security concerns create quite a lot of difficulties. I want to make it very categorical and very clear that it is sad and very sad to make it impossible for Kenya not to be able to trade with South Sudan. The repercussions of a prolonged conflict is huge, compromising regional security, peace and stability, thereby undermining political and security interests of the people of Kenya. Viewers, I have been an advocate for peace, and I want to thank both President Salva Kiir and Riek Machar and the other commanders, those who picked up guns to fight, to have agreed to sign a revitalized peace agreement that we see today taking place and has taken roots peacefully, is holding in South Sudan. We thank you very much, our brothers, and we expect that you keep the agreement, let the ink dry without a fight. Another country that neighbors Kenya is Ethiopia. Our security with Ethiopia, Kenyan security with Ethiopia, relatively very good. There has never been incursions in and out. For several years, I have not heard that. The rift emerged between Kenya and Ethiopia over the question of Jubaland elections, which had fueled and which fuels clanism. If you look at the background of the Ogaden region, you will find where the whole problem of the rift between Kenya and Ethiopia is. Kenya supported the re-election of Sheikh Ahmed Islam Madobe, an ally and a very great friend of the people of Kenya. He was an ally of the Ethiopians, an ally of Kenyans in the fight against Al-Shabaab. Ethiopia, on the other hand, had allied itself with the Somali President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed Farmajo, who is pushing for the ouster of the Jubaland President Sheikh Islam Madobe. Kenya and Ethiopia signed a defense pact when AMISOM is already in Somalia. These are some of the things that need frankness to check the territorial ambitions of Somalia. Back then being advanced through the claiming of parts of Kenya and Ethiopia in what is known as Somali political control. The two countries have been playing a leading role in the war against Al-Shabaab. Kenya and Somalia and Ethiopia have troops or have troops in Somalia. Shifting political relations in the Horn of Africa, or shifting political relations in the Horn of Africa, has overshadowed Kenya's position as a leading peacemaker, and it still remains. It cannot be overshadowed. You can shift positions, but Kenya still remains the background, the format, the focal point of peace in the region. Thank you. Uganda. Uganda has had very cordial relationship with Kenya. Trucks carrying goods from Uganda into Kenya, passing to Malaba, passing to Busia, from Mombasa. Inside Kenya, we have a few difficulties. Apart from the Mujingo Island, which the governments are still working out a formula. Uganda has no territorial ambitions. It has nothing against Kenya. Instead, if Kenya had borrowed part of Uganda's strategy in Karamoja, West Pokot, and Turkana, if Kenya had borrowed that strategy of President Museveni, that country, that region of West Pokot, Turkana, the triangle, the Kapedo Triangle, would be very peaceful today. The government of Kenya suspended logging for 3 months of trees, citing acute water shortage in the Mao forest. The Mao forest feeds everybody. Everybody in the region. Everybody from east, west, south. We feed Egypt, every place. We all feed on Mao forest. Therefore, we call upon the situation in Africa, in East Africa, to normal. We call upon the East African states to work together, to begin looking at the problems that bring about divisions in Africa. There is no need of antagonism. Antagonizing each other does not pay. Somalia needs Kenya, Kenya needs Somalia. We have lived together as brothers and sisters. We need to stick together to fight the enemy. We need to work like friends. Let's stand together. Let's look at the common goals. The common goals that shape our destiny. The common goals that in the Nkrumah, the founding fathers, Jomo Kenyatta, Nyerere, Arap Moi, Mandela, Aisilasi, Siad Barre, they stood for those common goals. That's why they were able to dislodge imperialism. This morning I was looking at, I've read most of the books of Fenon Fanzi. I have read them east, west, I found out that one of the things that had made Africa to go back, I read the books of Fenon Fanzi, Black skins with white masks. Are we Africans black skins with white masks? A dying colonialism, I read that one. I've read the most popular one, which President Museveni also used, the wretched of earth. The formula of violence and violence and violence alone. That once violence is instigated, used, supplied within the people, you can manage to rule them. I've read another book, Towards the African Revolution. When shall we have African revolution amongst ourselves on unity of purpose? Today I find myself with many unanswered questions as an African. We write the murder stories on our front pages and laugh about them when lives are lost. That's we Africans. We are corrupt to the core. That's we Africans. We accept to be used as conduits of colonialism. That's we Africans. We have lost morals and direction. That's we Africans again. We fight our own shadows. What happened to Africa? What happened to Africa? What happened to us? So you can go and read those books of Fenon Fanzi, a man who died thinking of changing, standing for a black man, changing everything, fighting the French colonization of Algeria. Yet he was not an Algerian. I was very impressed with the books. That's why I read all of them. I can tell you paragraphs, sentences in all of them. Because this was a man who was not even an African. But he stood for Africa. What about you out there in Somalia? What about you up there in Uganda? What about you in Sudan, Tanzania? I left Tanzania, which is very peaceful. It works with Kenya. It has never had any problems. A few of trade wars, which are manageable. We have lived as a unity that can stage by stage produce integration. The answer to all these problems is integration. The earlier Africa integrates, the better. When we integrate, insecurity will go away. Because we shall have one common person to fight, a terrorist, but not ourselves. If we integrate and become a united Africa, if our voices can continue to be heard the way we speak today, Africa will not take long before we call it a united continent. This security is therefore a security meeting, a security program that looks at aspects of what you can do for Africa. What can you say as an African from Somalia to an African in Uganda? I want to thank the Uganda government and the people of Uganda that the richest African in our country are Somalis. They own property. We have never taken any from them. We have stayed with them as relatives. We better stand together and bring back our nations. Unite our nations. We are all brothers. we are all united in the blood that never changes. Thank you. Before I finish, I want to bring to the attention ICC allows Afghanistan war crimes inquiry to proceed. It has angered the United States of America. The International Criminal Court in The Hague, through the Chief Prosecutor Fatou Bensouda, has successfully opened investigations against American troops, a step that has annoyed the Trump administration. The ruling by Appeals Chamber Court number 5 in The Hague reversed a lower chamber's decision that had held the inquiry into a behavior of the United States troops that had committed quite a number of heinous crimes in Afghanistan. Having spent years collecting evidence on Afghanistan, Bensouda requested permission to open an investigation into claims of war crimes and crimes against humanity attributed to the United States military and intelligence personnel, the Taliban, and Afghanistan. Now my question is this. Fatou Bensouda, why don't you equally do the same to Al-Shabaab? I want to bring, can I repeat the question? Fatou Bensouda, you are opening war crimes against the United States in Afghanistan. Why don't you equally open war crimes against Al-Shabaab and its funders in Somalia? Viewers, thank you very much. We have done our best today. I've done my best. Miriam is, I don't know what the production team, she's not feeling well. Therefore, she will not be able to comment from wherever she is. But thank you very much, viewers. Enjoy your weekend. Don't drink and drive. Don't overlook security regulations. Be careful with your security. When you see something suspicious in any hotel, on the road, in the mall, in the restaurant, alert the police. We are on that alert. When you see anything suspicious, people buying Morovs, people buying extra SIM cards, people buying so many things, please alert the police. If a house that has been buying one loaf is buying 20 kilos, if a house has been buying half a kilo of meat, and you see that house is buying 50 kilos of meat, it means there are people there eating more who have come from where. Let's have the Ugandan mentality of checking on who is the neighbor. What have they come to do? If any hotel registers a guest, they should register a guest and take the identity, the passport. If you are buying a car, if you are selling a car, you must first check the identity. Call the police number, call the DCI. They will tell you whether that identity is fake or not. Don't just sell things, then we have problems. Let's help the police. Let's help the security agencies in the fight against terrorism. It is not the best way that you can live. It cannot segregate. It hurts everybody. The relatives who are caught up in these things are many. So let's help the government. Let's help the security agencies in the fight against corruption. Have a nice weekend. Enjoy your weekend. We see you on Sunday at exactly 2. For those viewers and the listeners of Radio Punchline Africa, the Punchline station, the radio that sends African music, Somali music. We play Somali music for you. Our troops in Kismayo, in Tune Radio, Punchline Africa. the only radio that keeps on talking to wazalendo wetu yetu ya nyumbani. Msikope, muendelee na kazi, msukume kazi. Siku moja Somalia will rise up and shine again. No matter how long it takes, the people of Somalia will liberate themselves. So don't give up. You will not let us down. We want to pay tribute to our soldiers in Kismayo and in Mogadishu. We want to pray for all the security agencies, those who are keeping peace, security in this country, Kenya, and other East African states that are neighboring Somalia. That together we shall stand to denounce any form of terrorism that dismembers our states. Thank you very much, oh Lord. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. This station is for Africa, with Africa, by Africa, Charles.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
The International Court of Justice is a court that was created to solve problems of disputes of any nature. But this court was created on the basis that times could change and the constitutionalism and the mandate could also change. The International Court of Justice has never changed. In this court, there is no chamber for appeal. There is no chamber for amicus curiae, for people to bring in their opinions in terms of individuals or organizations that are hurt in one way or the other, or good opinions that could shape the outcome of the findings or the cases filed there. This court, therefore, remains one of the most obnoxious, one of the most opaque institutions whose findings we don't know who decides and how the decisions are taken, how stakeholders are supposed to recourse to a remedy, where to get a remedy, we don't know. A court has no chambers, no lower chamber, no upper chamber for appeal. It has itself as a final court of jurisdiction around the world. Are the people of the world going to say, is Somalia and Kenya going into this court, seeing the obstacles that they will cause for the region? Those are the questions I ask. And I want my viewers and those listening to this tape to understand that Africa needs to solve the problem in an African way. There is no other way to solve the problem of Somalia and Kenya amicably than sitting on a table to have a discussion, find ways of resolving the conflict that has brought us to not talking terms. But Somalia seemed to be pushed by external darker forces to go and dismember the unity that we have in the Great Lakes region and the Horn of Africa. ICJ as a court is an institution that is very opaque, very dark in its sense of darkness, that you don't know how decisions are made. There is no counter checks and balances in the decision making. I therefore urge Somalia and Kenya not to attend this court. I urge Somalia and Kenya to avoid this court for the sake of peace in the Indian Ocean. I also have called upon the countries that are supporting Somalia to take this case to withdraw their support for the sake of security, because we have only one common enemy. The enemy are the terrorists killing the innocent Somalis who need our help to be liberated from these fighters who have come and gathered in the great once country, or the PAL, one of the Pan-African countries in Africa. Thank you very much, viewers. That is my message to the world. Let's spread it. The International Court of Justice is opaque. It doesn't have appeal chamber. It doesn't have preparation chamber. It doesn't have any. Once the decision is made, the decision is final. Do we need that? We call that democratic. I leave it to you. Thank you.